Good to see so many people here tonight. I was getting phone calls asking me if we're going to have a meeting. I said absolutely, but to have this large crowd on a snowy evening is very encouraging. So I'm going to call this meeting to order, and I'm going to ask you to rise, and Roger Crone will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Present.
Here. Alderman Terry. Alderman Raleigh. Present. Alderman Hayes.
Here.
First item is approval of the minutes. Council approval of the minutes for the City Council meeting December 15th and January the 6th. We need a motion for that, please.
I would like to amend something to do with page 7. That was just adjournment. It says Alderman Crowe made a motion, second by Alderman Crowe. I don't think that probably happened.
Are the mics on?
Are the mics on?
No.
We can't
We
hear.
can't hear back
We
there.
just have to put
Pick in the
our
mic.
faces close to them. Yeah.
Please.
He just corrected me that the adjournment, it says Alderman Crone made the announcement and made the motion, and it was seconded by Alderman Crone. Probably not. I will check that and make that change.
While you're making changes today, you probably should also add that we went into a closed session for possible litigation personnel and to review closed session minutes. I make a motion to approve the minutes as amended.
I second.
And that's both sets?
Yes. I'm sorry, I should have stated that. December the 15th and January the 6th.
Alderman Barsack?
Yes.
Alderman Crone?
Yes.
Alderman Lambert? Yes. Alderman Rowland? Yes. Alderman Hayes?
Yes.
The minutes are approved as corrected.
This time it's the public forum, and I will caution you that you're limited to 5 minutes. We're going to tell you that your time is up. And if you got something that is very important and you say, but I got more to say, then I would encourage you to put yourself on the public forum for the next meeting in February. Because with the numbers that we're having on the public forum, it's very important that we keep it to that 5-minute time period. The first person on the public forum, and when you go to that mic, do what I'm doing, speak right into it. We're having problems with the PA system, so Rick Eberlin.
Also like to ask anybody who's going to be speaking in the public forum, give your name, your residence, if you represent any organization, and what the subject is. Our code requires you to say those 4 things.
My name is Rick Everland, and I reside at 7 Vine Street. I represent no one but myself. At the last council meeting, I asked Mr. Crone 2 questions, and to refresh your memory, they were, did you and you alone compose this document in response to Rick Everland? Mr. Crone answered yes. And the second question was, did you order the 2 surveys that were to be conducted on my property and the adjacent lots? And once again, his answer was yes. And he did so without the consent of the council as a whole or the approval of the mayor. In fairness to Mr. Crone, I'd like to ask Mr. Barsack, did you have anything to do with this document or the ordering of the 2 surveys?
He and I discussed it. I had nothing to do with the 2 surveys.
Okay.
We discussed the
I
document.
thought as much. I would like to start with this document. First, I'm assuming that you know what an engineering report is, correct? Both of you? I would also assume that you know what a site visit is. and the process for letting bids, a bid proposal, an invoice, and what a work order is. Why then would you present a site visit invoice as an engineering report, which you did on this document? You said this project was engineered as job number E158015, and that is exactly an invoice from Juno and Associates for a site visit. It's not an engineering report, and you know what one would look like. Okay, why would you also state that the project was bid when there was absolutely no bid letting or subsequent bid proposals that were received? And you know the process for that as well. This document was simply a work order that either you gave CSR or CSR says, okay, we're going to do this to what you told us, Mr. Crone. Why would you say that the job that was done, it was done according to bid specifications when the code book for Grafton City Code says that everything done after 1973 in regards to curbs, and for those of you that want to know, you can go to page 958 in our code book, and it says any curbs constructed after 1973 shall be constructed and installed upon the recommendations of the Illinois Compiled Statutes and Environmental Border Barriers Act. So is that where you got your specifications for those curbs? Can I ask where you got them from?
Conversations with Juno, Bob Massett.
No. Anybody please call Juno and Associates and Bob Massett, and that is absolutely 100% false.
Well, he is correct, because both Roger and I were up there when Bob Massey
There is no
what needed
minutes.
to be done.
Nothing was engineered, nothing was done.
It wasn't required to be engineered. He didn't want to engineer it.
Roger didn't want it.
No, Bob Massey did not want to engineer it.
I invite any one of you out here to call those two engineers. Okay, chapter 65, excuse me, we'll back up. For those of you who want to find that, it's in, like I said, 958. You also said that I had access from the northern section of my lot, which you know full well is not true. I invite anyone to come up and verify that it's not true. There's no access at all. And lastly, you stated that this solved all the runoff problems, which is simply your opinion and not factual. And according to the engineers, say, as a matter of fact, it runs water away from our city's sewer system. It may have slightly improved the conditions behind the Methodist Church, but it did nothing at all in regards to the other property. Why would you purposely try to deceive the public by intentionally including non-factual information in that response to Rick Everland, which in my opinion were outright lies? And why would you order not one but two surveys of my personal property and the lots by my house? I want everyone here to know that I attempted to meet with Mr. Crone last Monday, January 11th. He insisted on bringing Mr. Bowersax and then insisted on meeting me at City Hall. And then finally he informed me that his wife called and told him that he was not to meet with me, being the axe murderer that I am. I am. And I did, upon legal advice, try to speak with him again on 2 occasions. But my phone calls to him were not answered, nor were my texts to him. And that's why we're here. When this council, with the exception of Councilwoman Amber, act in such a reckless and vindictive manner, and they put themselves above the law when they themselves have committed numerous ethics violations, and in some cases, in my opinion, rise to the criminal level, what recourse do we have as citizens? The Illinois Compiled Statutes state that the City Council shall determine its own rules for proceeding and punish its own members for disorderly conduct.
You're at your 5, Rick.
Okay. I want everybody to check on the Illinois statutes, and I will give people copies. And I've sent these allegations to Mr. Gettin to be forwarded to the Illinois Attorney General's office. Anybody that has questions about any of this, feel free to call me.
Next is Rick.
Again, my name is Rick Britt. I live at 401 Timber Ridge Drive in Ward 2 of Grafton. I do not own a local business. I do not represent anybody. I'm not employed by a local business. My interest in speaking tonight is to give a voice to what some people might call the silent majority And I've heard a lot about the silent majority. Now, a naive person might have thought that the public outcry this past summer against the efforts of this newly elected city council to limit the activities of local businesses would have put to rest once and for all what can only be described as the efforts of a cabal of backward-looking and backward-thinking conspirators whose aim appears to be the complete and total destruction of our city, instead of protecting the general welfare and prosperity of all constituents and residents. As it turns out, malevolence of this magnitude is rarely vanquished so quickly and with any degree of permanence, as was later revealed when this council formally and publicly condemned our fine and decent mayor. The vote is always 5-1. I had a difficult time believing that the 5 council members who issued a no confidence vote in our mayor came to individually conclude that such a vote was warranted. No, from watching this council at work 2 weeks ago, it is intuitively obvious to even the most casual observer that this is a gang. And like all gangs, this gang has a ringleader. When a schoolyard bully picks on another kid, it's rare that he does it alone. The bully almost always has his gang standing right behind him to intimidate his prey. Now, I don't know why the gang follows the ringleader, but usually it's because they enjoy some sense of the power and control which being in a gang gives them, or maybe they just enjoy the sight of blood. Perhaps they feel safer when the ringleader's attention is focused on someone other than them. Now, the ringleader is easy to identify because he's the one doing all of the talking. In fact, he rarely shuts up. The ringleader will consider himself to be the smartest one in the gang, and he bases his claim to leadership of the gang upon that unproven fact. His followers believe him, and God help any one of them should they question his pronouncements. Once he has convinced his gang that he is smarter than all of them, it's not too difficult for him to convince them that he is smarter than everyone else as well. But the ringleader neither respects his disciples, nor does he value their loyalty to him. More often than not, the ringleader holds his adherents in contempt and will carelessly discard them once their usefulness to him has been exhausted. The ringleader will often be overheard to say of his devotees such statements as, "Oh, I have her in my back pocket," or "he can be controlled," or "they'll do as they're told." Now, I could live 100 years and never understand why anyone would choose to live their life following such a person and being somebody else's flunky. But of course, we aren't in a schoolyard and this isn't recess. Now, my final remarks are directed to the alderman who represents me in Ward 2, Mr. Hayes. I met you for the very first time at the last meeting 2 weeks ago, and while we were talking, it astonished me to learn that you are interested in selling your home and leaving Grafton to retire elsewhere. But you told me that you can't do that because you can't sell your home here because of the depressed economy. Now, this makes no sense to me because you continue to vote with the other aldermen who are clearly and openly dedicated to killing our economy and your property's value even further. Now, this makes me have to ask, why are you with them? Why are you part of the 5 that's always voting in the 5-1? When did they convince you that your vote belongs to them? And why do you repeatedly allow yourself to serve their interests instead of my interests and the interests of the other residents of Ward 2 and ultimately your own interests, because everyone benefits from preserving property values? Now, the role of a city council, and I'm talking any city council anywhere in America, should be to partner with the businesses of that city in order to grow its economy. Plain and simple. It serves very few other purposes. Now, I agree that growth should be done carefully, and it should be done thoughtfully. But if history has taught us anything, it's that towns die when its businesses die. Please, Mr. Hayes, restore your allegiance to the residents of your ward, vote the will of your constituents, leave this gang, leave its ringleader, and give your support to keeping Grafton in the Port District. You'll have the support of many people, and you might even be able to find a buyer for your house. Jim Spencer.
Thank you. My name is Jim Spencer. I live at 44 North Springfield Street here in Grafton. Thank you, Mayor and Council, for allowing me the opportunity to speak during this open forum. I've been a resident of this community for 6 years. I'm not a business owner. I'm not a politician. I'm not a public speaker. I'm just a concerned citizen who must speak out on certain council members' actions and conduct. Flo Raleigh, as a resident of Ward 3 that you represent, I must say I was very disappointed with your abrupt departure from this last council meeting. I'm aware that you have stated that you were ill, but several people, including the police officer, heard you say, I am 76 years old and I don't need this. Flo, I have yet to find anyone from the 3rd Ward other than Sarah Carey that backs your political agenda targeting businesses and individuals with your personal vendettas. With that being said, you have embarrassed this town with your comments and actions, and you have abused your position of power. You have done this by insulting Christian bikers, front page news, by favoring a ban on outdoor music, front page news, by voting no confidence to the mayor, front page news, by walking out on your constituents during the last council meeting. And finally, you have abused your position of power by continually targeting Joe and Jan DeShirley with numerous calls and complaints to FEMA regarding your new home in Marina. The most recent example, Flo, you asked Jerry Bowersox to have pictures taken of the DeShirley and Stem's driveway and then had Jerry Bowersox then send these photographs to FEMA, only to be told by FEMA once again there's no violation. Tragically, you and Jerry Bowersox launched this latest attack proving that DeShirley and Stems were actively moving out of their home from the impending flood. Instead of taking pictures, both of you should have been there to help them move. Shame on you. The last thing you should do is throw stones. Absolutely no one in this community cared that you and Joe stored your boats on city property until you started targeting businesses with individuals with personal vendettas. It was stated in a recent council meeting that the past mayor, Wendy Nairn, gave your husband Joe Carey verbal permission to store your boats on these lots next to your home. The problem is the mayor does not and did not have the authority to permit you to violate a city ordinance without having the council vote on approval, and no vote was ever taken. It is evident that you would honor an invalid verbal agreement but will not honor a written legal agreement between the city of Grafton and Grafton Harbor on its lease lots and utility shed. Shame on you. To the 5 aldermen, the political strategies remind me of schoolyard bullies. Your methods are vengeful and punitive. One tactic of this feckless crew of 5 resembles extortion. These 5 council members had no issues with Joe DeShirley until he refused Jerry Bowersox's demand that Joe DeShirley renegotiate the harbor lease, and when he refused, the extortion tactics began, trying to force Joe DeShirley to agree to these demands. Examples of this include interfering with the issuance of the harbor and restaurant liquor license, voting to terminate the lease on the city lots surrounding the marina, suing the harbor for their utility shed, which the harbor has a binding lease agreement and violates no ordinance or FEMA law. I question the legality of this act by Sarah Carey, directing the city attorney to file suit without the city council even voting its approval. Jerry Bowersox stated he would get Joe to renegotiate this lease through its lawsuit. Sounds to me like the quote from The Godfather. I'm going to make him an offer he can't refuse. And lastly, continuing these countless and groundless calls to FEMA claiming violations for the blocks placed to keep the debris out of the marina. After this last flood, Joe was big enough to provide these blocks or allow the city to use these blocks to open up Route 100. They complained about the stone facade around their personal homes, the stamped concrete in their basement, the height of their homes, their concrete driveway.
Your time is up, sir. I appreciate you. Mike Amber.
Oh, I will be in. Yep.
Mike Amber, to see you. Oh, yes, okay, Mike.
My name is Mike Amber, live at 203 East Water, and represent myself and hopefully quite a few others in this room. As a voter, taxpayer, lifelong Grafton resident of 58 years, I'm appalled at the behavior and actions of this city council given your past track record. I and many others in this room have no confidence in this council. It appears way too many private agendas that are not in the best interest of the city and residents. Therefore, I ask, get on board, turn in your resignation. If any doubt of who I'm referring to, it's Jerry Bowersack, Roger Crum, Sarah Carey, Flo Rollins, Steve Hayes. It's the only fair thing to do for business owners, voters, taxpayers, and residents.
Mayor, I'd like to say I was only afforded 3 minutes and 30 seconds.
Well, she's keeping time here.
From the time I started speaking?
Yes.
Yes. I mean, not trying to deprive you of time, but we're just looking at it.
They had 419 back here.
I didn't wait to get afforded 1 more minute.
We'll let you have 1 more minute, sir. I'm sorry, I just.
And my apologies,
That's quite all
I
right.
had you starting at 7:15 and done at 7. I left a minute out. I'm sorry.
Go ahead,
Hit the
sir.
timer. In my opinion, Sarah Carey has a clear conflict of interest of the marina-related issues. She should abstain from voting on anything that involves the marina due to her family members who own the adjoining property of the marina and who are very vocal opposing the marina's methods of operation. In summary, I find this consistent, despairing agenda inflicted upon the community by these 5 council members to be a waste of precious time, valuable energy, resources, and taxpayer funds. Not to mention the hardship placed on citizens defending themselves against these baseless charges and accusations. And so in closing, Jerry Bowersox, Flo Rawlings, Steve Hayes, Sarah Carey, and Roger Crone, your actions are mean-spirited and an embarrassment to this community and are in no way fit to serve as aldermen, and I ask for all 5 of your resignations immediately.
Sharon Harrison, and I apologize if we.
That was
That
my
wasn't
fault,
deliberate.
I'm sorry.
I've practiced this for a long time. I'm doing it.
My name is Sharon Harrison, and my husband Steve and I live and run a business at 224 East Main Street since 2001. Over the last 15 years, we have done a lot of growing. We have just purchased 2 more buildings and several lots that border our existing property, and at this time we'll be expanding again. When we came to town, we worked with IDOT to make a driveway on the scenic byway, put in a new sidewalk because it was in terrible shape. We asked the city to help. They said they could not afford to fix it. We asked if we could do it. They gave us papers. We paid for it, and we had it done. We've installed 33 new windows, upgraded plumbing, heating, and built 2 buildings. My point is, we have invested a lot in this property because we saw what Grafton could be. A wonderful community, a place for new families to come and visit or make it their home, and this agenda of the council to turn us into another Elsa is just stupid. We do not have a college to support such an act. You came to this town knowing what it was and then decided to change it to suit your retirement desires. I say if that is the way you want your quality of life to be, move to Elsa. You are messing with my quality of life. I have better things to do than watching everything you do and worrying about what you're going to do next. So since several of you have told me how you feel, I thought I would share that with the crowd tonight. First, Alderman Byerson, at your home, I asked you, are you for business? Your answer was no. You also said the same day that each alderman had their own personal agenda. Alderman Hayes, at my home, I asked you a question about property tax. I said the facts that if we reduced our sales tax, that would increase property tax. And I said, could you afford such an act? And you said you could afford it. Alderman Rollins, we had a phone conversation. I asked you what would happen if we get rid of business in town and the property taxes would be raised. I said, could you afford it? And you said, whatever it takes, you would pay it. These are the leaders that are running our town. You do not care if we have to raise taxes. You go after hardworking people trying to improve Grafton like the Everlands and the Shirleys. May I ask what your plans are for the property that the marina uses for wonderful events that bring people to our town? I have a question for this nice crowd tonight. I hear the silent majority. So here's my question to these people. I'm sure you're here supporting your 5 aldermen. If in fact you will be happy with paying higher property taxes, please raise your hand. Okay, now let's give the other side a chance. Those who would like lower property taxes, see us maintain a grocery store, and keep our wonderful school, please raise your hand.
Yeah!
You know, sales tax is what keeps our town going. Just in the building across the street from ours, there has been at least 6 different businesses. They can't make a go of it. You know, we have floods. You know, we are lucky. We have the loading dock, marina, Aries, Grafton Winery, Piasol Winery, Finney, and Raging Rivers in the Park that are the anchors in our town and draw for us smaller businesses. If I forgot anybody, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to leave you out. My question to the 5 of you is, how in the world do you plan to keep Grafton going with your attitude that the outside world sees? Is this how you want to be remembered, the 5 that destroy this wonderful town? I have said that people I thought would be good for this town and make a difference has turned this into a media circus. Is it your name in print that you like, the feeling of power? I have tried to call my Alderman Hayes several times, asking questions about the Port District, but he will not answer my calls. I wanted to know how he arrived at his vote and what information he had to make his vote and from whom this information came from. Also wondered why he or none of you were at the grade school except Alderman Amberg. She was there. I would hope you would have come trying to get more information on the Port District for the good of the citizens who vote for all of you. Alderman Crone, you asked me, why am I mad? Well, because you are ruining our business and property value. Who in their right mind would want to move here or start a business here when they know this is what they are up against? Since the new council has been seated, this is what goes on at every meeting, and you're not open-minded to anything. As Alderman Borisach told me, you all call him, as he showed me his office and rule books in his basement. So I guess none of you have a mind of your own. You have to check with him first. As for the 50-50, I would be a fool if I entered in a contract with this kind of a council. Do the voters a favor, please resign.
Charlie Lindemeyer, I don't see Charlie.
He had some pipes break, he couldn't make it.
Oh, Karen Welch. Karen Welch.
My name is Karen Welch. My address is 1016 Mallard Court. I'm a private citizen. I'm not a public speaker. I'm going to ask you all to open your hearts and minds to this tonight. A past council member pointed out that people are beginning to avoid coming to Grafton due to the animosity that is growing between the city council and the mayor. I know this is true, as I also have avoided going to the shops, restaurants, even events and meetings. When I did go, I observed residents engaged in rude and obnoxious behavior towards those who did not hold their particular views. I saw and heard booing, backbiting, and various other types of bullying. Who wants to be exposed to this type of bullish behavior? The sad thing is, it hurts the businesses, it hurts the residents, and it hurts our visitors. Not only are the businesses losing out on sale opportunities, but we are disgracing ourselves in front of the public. Grafton used to be a place where everyone was welcome. It depends on who you talk to as to who is at fault. The mayor's supporters say it's the city council's fault and that the council is against businesses. They say some of the council members are using their positions to act on personal vendettas. The council supporters say it's the mayor's fault. They say he takes revenge on those who criticize him or his actions. He oversteps his authority by allowing some to ignore established ordinances while others are required to follow them. He throws up roadblocks and delays when information is requested. I have seen these things happen on both sides. But this is being blown way out of proportion. Rumors have run rampant, and many have based their views on what someone else has told them, rather than seeking the truth for themselves. The majority shifted in this last election, because there were many who believed their voices were not being heard. They chose not to subvert the system, but to have their voices heard through voting. Those who have regularly attended the city council meetings for the last 6 years know that the essence of our problem has been the breakdown of communication, a refusal to believe anyone other than themselves can have a vision for Grafton. Rather than work together, a wall went up. One mistake festered and built on the other, until not only did communication break down, but a refusal to compromise developed. The truth is, there are mistakes on both sides. How do I know this? I've attended the council meetings for the past 6 years, and I know that many of you have not, because you weren't here. Both sides need to accept and take responsibilities for these mistakes, and then leave them in the past. Favoritism, vendettas need to stop immediately. Information needs to flow freely, timely, and transparently. Any attempt to be anything but transparent and timely with information reeks of a desire to hide something, or it's a power struggle. I was glad to hear that both sides agreed to work with an impartial mediator. This is definitely a major step forward, and maybe the only way we'll exist. Please, be proactive. Don't be led what others are telling you what's happening. Come to these meetings. Don't just come to the public forum and then get up and walk out. Stay for the meeting and see what happens for yourself. Judge for yourself. The public forum should not be allowed to be used to try to solve problems that have not first been addressed by the mayor or the council. If there's a problem, a person should first go to the committee or persons who can explain and help find a solution. If after that meeting someone still has a concern, then it would be appropriate to allow that person to express their views in the forum. Open communication can eliminate the need for many items to come to the public forum. The forum has recently been used as a means of blindsiding someone. This does not solve an issue. It creates a hostile situation in which no one is served. Sadly, there's a contingent of people who prefer to cloud the issues and promote a hostile environment, like we have witnessed recently. This solves nothing. It only creates chaos. Blaming one side or the other is ridiculous.
Okay, your time is up. Jim Berger.
My name is Jim Berger, and I'm a private citizen. I live at 116 East Clinton in Mr. Hayes' ward. And this is just, my subject is pretty much the same as everybody else's. I'm speaking to you as a private citizen, so when this is over, it should be about 3 minutes long. Please feel free to respond to the questions. First, I call on my Alderman Steve Hayes to make a motion rescinding the vote of no confidence in Mayor Tom Thompson and replace it with a vote of confidence this evening. Secondly, the fact that a city alderwoman duly elected of the people, by the people, and for the people of Grafton would walk out in a public forum of the very people she was chosen to represent is an act of cowardice. In fact, it's un-American and unbefitting of a sitting elected official. It signified that you would resign. If that's not the case, I'm calling for that resignation now. As if that isn't enough, at the end of this, would you care to explain to the people of Grafton what compelled you to allegedly commit a felonious act by assaulting a Grafton police officer the weekend of Christmas? Why you were not arrested and charged with a spot is beyond me. We already know you think you're above the citizens of Grafton. Now apparently you think you're above the law. Well, I have news for you. You are neither. Mrs. Rollins, if you're not willing to listen to the people you were elected to represent, which you demonstrated at the last council meeting, and you are absolutely unfit for public office. And again, I call for your resignation. Mr. Bowersacks, please explain to the citizens of Grafton when I'm through here what your thought process was to absolutely disrespect the citizens and business owners of Grafton by making a motion to move the public forum from the beginning of the agenda to the end of the agenda at the last council meeting. and Mr. Crone, your thought process in seconding the motion, and the rest of you for approving. This is another flagrant disregard to the citizens and merchants of Grafton, and another example of how most of you, not all, are working to force your personal agendas and vendettas on the citizens and merchants of Grafton, rather than taking care of the people's bidding, which is what you were ultimately elected and sworn to do. Ladies and gentlemen of the council, citizens and merchants of Grafton, I call on Flo Rawlings, Jerry Bowersax, Roger Crone, Steve Hayes, and Sarah Carey to immediately resign from public office. And I say, don't tread on me, and don't you dare continue to tread on the people of Grafton again.
Mayor Thompson, I understand the other side has gotten to say both things. I have probably a minute left. I would ask if both sides do not mind.
I'd like another minute too, so we can go there if you want.
I'm concerned by Mary keeping track of the
That's, no,
clock.
I'm not saying it was wrong. It was right.
Well, we didn't give any, if
That's
we gave you 5 minutes.
That's fine.
And you can put yourself on the agenda for the next council meeting. I'm asking anyone here that wants to do that. But we have tried to keep this agenda moving along. At this time, we have the treasurer's report. Charlie is not here. The treasurer's report.
I asked approval of the treasurer's report for the month of December 2015.
Bob, I have a couple of questions. I noticed that the amount in our general fund was down to $32,000. Is that correct? We've already transferred $50,000 out of savings in July. Then we transferred $50,000 in October. And now this month, it looks like we had a shortfall or a deficit of about $9,000. Is that correct? All I'm saying is, we're sort of, when it comes to business tax or sales tax, entertainment tax, in the lull of the season here. The flood didn't help us, of course. Bad weather doesn't help us. But do you anticipate that it will be necessary before the first week, say, of September to transfer more money in from savings to the general fund?
First week of when?
Well, end of August is when we get our next sales tax, or I'm sorry, the next property tax. In other words, the only money we're going to get from now till then is just tax money from the bulk of that money is business tax.
Tom, it all depends. Governor Rauner's,
Microphone?
Governor Rauner has issued documentation that the County of Jersey is now under the Emergency Act, and he is delaying all tax payments to the state. Now, the only problem we're running into with that is sales tax. If the businesses here in town are delaying payments to the state, sales tax, then we're not going to, yeah. Are we going to?
Quit spending.
You what?
Quit spending money.
I have a question. Can't you just take, use a lot of money to tip, can't you just take money out of tip and put it in general?
No, that's illegal, that's illegal
I
to
understand it
do.
was done once.
Well, no, let's move on with this. Bob, my understanding is that we got 18,000 in sales tax on this last, right? All I'm saying is, as a mayor, I've always worried about the fact that the shortfalls are usually not in tip spending. We have tip money, and we should use that money. But it's the general fund. And I talked with Carmen, excuse me, no, you're not on the public forum, I'm not gonna open this up. And I said, Carmen, in your opinion, are we gonna make it without having to transfer? She said, I don't know, Mayor, it doesn't go through that. So the reason I'm bringing this up is, we give this report, we vote, nobody knows. We talk about being transparent, so I think it's important for the taxpayers to understand that we've already transferred $100,000 out of savings into the general fund. And about the time I thought we were, running smoothly. Then I looked at the report and found out even though we got 18,000 in sales tax, we still went $9,000+ in a deficit. And I'm concerned about that. And that's why I have constantly encouraged businesses and thrown my side, or my feelings, with them in terms of the need that the city has for you to be here and produce those sales tax and entertainment taxes so we can pay our general fund bills. That's all I'll say.
Mayor, I just had a question. You said $18,000. That was the sales tax for December?
Well, we don't, I believe that's delayed, isn't it, Bob? Wouldn't that have been October sales tax?
October, yeah, but we received sales tax in December of $27,598.
Okay.
Comparing the last year through December and this year through December, we are $5,381 below where we were last year, this year, which is a 3.29% decrease. And it is a significant problem because unless we get our sales tax for the next 4 months, it will be a problem for us. What I would like for you to do as a council member is...
I'm not a council member.
I mean, as a council member, and I hope the rest of the council member, but I'm asking you as mayor and a council member asking a mayor, could you give us financial projections for the next 3 to 5 years? Which will help us understand what's going to happen.
I'll get out my crystal ball, Jerry, and look at it. In terms of the economy, you think that anyone can make predictions for 5 years? But I'll certainly take a look at it. All I know is that we need sales tax and entertainment tax if we're gonna survive as a city. That's the point I'm making. But I'll be glad to look at it.
And I would hope that most of you businesses out there are doing some type of projections for your business so that you know technically where you plan on being in 2, 3 years from now. I realize a 5-year projection is very difficult, but the thing is that in 3 years, we lose our TIF money. And we will be getting more property tax at that time.
That's why we're here. That's why we're here.
Yeah.
Okay, I need to move on. Let's get this off the table.
Is there a second?
Second.
This is a motion to approve the treasurer's report for December 15th. Alderman Morissette.
Yes.
Alderman Cone.
Yes.
Alderman Amber. Alderman Raleigh. Alderman Hayes. Motion passes.
Next item, council approval of invoices as listed on the vendor invoice register for January the 19th, 2016.
Make the motion to approve the invoices.
Mike?
I'll second it.
And I made a motion to approve the invoices as listed on the vendor's invoice register for January the 19th, 2016.
I second it. Alderman Morissette.
Yes.
Alderman Cone.
Yes.
Alderman Amber.
Yes.
Alderman Raleigh. Yes. Alderman Hayes.
Yes.
Motion passes.
I think it's important, as a mayor, it's my responsibility to keep some decorum here. So I would really appreciate if you have something to say, you put yourself on the public forum. Other than that, let's just limit the remarks being made, if you please. Thank you. Zoning Board, Planning Commission report. Chris, and I would like to announce that on March 24th, there will be a Planning Commission meeting. Mr. Wobie is gone for the month of February. That's why we didn't have one in February. He's in Florida. So the next Planning Commission meeting will be March the 24th at 7 o'clock at City Hall. Okay, Chris.
All right, building and zoning report for January. Permits and applications. We have 2 new permits that have been approved. One for Mr. Roy Miller on Sandpiper Drive up in Grafton Hills. He's going to be building a garage up there, full-car garage. He met all the requirements, so I approved that. The other one is the Piasol Pub. Mr. Bill Stang, and they're going to be extending the vestibule at the front door and also putting the front porch on there. I've gone over it with the contractor. I'm satisfied that they're doing it according to ordinances. That's been approved. We have 6 open permits right now besides those, and all of these being worked on. I have not closed out any this month, and I have gotten 2 new sign permits. I have not had any citations, inspections, or notifications this month, mostly because of the floods and adverse weather conditions. We did have the flood manager down last week, Mr. Paul Osmond. We reviewed the Brundle property, the Riverview guest house. I went over with him with my point of view on it and the recent letters I sent to Mr. Brundle. And he recommends that we issue Mr. Brundle a variance, and attached to my report is a copy of that variance report. I will work with Mr. Brundle to fill out that report, and then it will be up to the council to vote on it. And we'll have to send that result back to Mr. Paul Osmond, who wants to be kept aware of what they're doing on that. We also did a flood assessment for 3 properties. First one was the Reedy Fish Market. Currently he's at 31%, so he's still under the requirement. The second one was Mr. Chiappa's Vine Street location, Danger Inn. He's getting close, he's at 47.8 now. The third one was the Ben Elm Guest House at 311 Front Street. We also had the 313 Front Street address, but we didn't see any additional damage from the light flood. Is anybody from Mr. Allen here today? That's not. Okay, and that's all I have. Anybody have any questions?
I wonder if you should explain to the people in the audience about how that works when there's 50% damage or 30% damage.
If it's over 50%, then the state will have to pay you, or you're going to have to raise the structure.
And that's paid for by the state, correct?
Not always.
Not all,
Not all.
it depends if they have the funding for it, and if you have flood insurance.
And can they get the buyout if it's available?
Not always. But so far, it's been doing pretty good. Mrs. Pence got hers, things that hit 50%, and she's doing real well on that.
Is there a chance of another buyout?
Yes, sir. But I can't comment further on that until I do. If anybody has any additional flood damage that they would like me to take a look at, please let me know, let the city know, and I'll come out and look at it. Anything else?
Thank you, Chris.
Thank you.
City engineer report. Pass Shepherd, I'm not sure if it's passed. Oh, here it is. I can already pass it and see, but.
Thank you, Mayor.
Okay, my first report is on the landslide, River Ridge slope failure is on your agenda there. In the time between Christmas and New Year's, the area received about 10 inches of rain in a 3-day period. While this may not have been the only cause, it certainly contributed to the massive landslide that started just below Terra Point and spilled out on the Route 100 between the Groves House and the Greens Pelican Inn. In 2008, a similar but not as extensive slide occurred in that same area. We were asked to review the slide and provide recommendations. Working with SCI Engineering Soils Consultants to provide geotechnical assistance, a two-stage approach was developed and authorized by the council at your special meeting on January 6th. Tonight, I'd just like to give you an update on that work. Stage one was to evaluate and stabilize the slide material in order to open up Route 100 again. On Friday the 8th, IDOT came up, cleared the material within their right-of-way, which is the back edge of the sidewalk, the bluff side edge of the sidewalk. And then city personnel and Grafton Materials placed concrete blocks on the sidewalk to restrict pedestrian traffic and protect Highway 100 from any additional debris. This serves only as a catch fence and is considered a short-term measure. Blocks were supplied by the Shirley, gave us 37 of them, City of Alton 11, and Fred Weber 36, came from the sand plant down in Alton. The DeShirley and the Alton blocks are on loan, and we do appreciate their cooperation in helping secure those. And then Fred Weber's are donations to the city. So in essence, we got some free blocks there that you can use in future flood fighting or whenever you might need them. There will be some hauling costs from Alton to bring those additional blocks up that we didn't have here on hand. So stage two is to, we surveyed that slide area to determine the slopes and the volume of a partially slid block. I don't know if many of you have seen it, but there is a very large piece of earthen material up there. We've got trees and everything else in it. It's kind of precariously perched up on the slope there, and you know, really need to take care of that in stage two. SCI will begin analysis of that slope and then investigate the natural springs and the methods to collect and pipe the water. I think one of the main contributors to the problems that have kept occurring in that area are those natural springs. So in the next 2 weeks, we expect to have a plan prepared that will allow contractors to remove the dangerous, partially slid block of material, construct the spring collection piping, and perform cleanup on the material at the toe of the slope next to roads and green homes. There is an exhibit there that kind of shows you the landslide area, and would like to open that up to questions if you have any.
Were you able to, Green called me, to get that settled so their gas could be turned back on?
The gas call that I had was with relative to the Grove, so was the greens off also?
Yes.
Okay.
But it looked to me like something had been done there. We had those sandbags put out, and I didn't go back and see the meter, but we'll check on that.
Well, I think the big concern too was some of the water that was coming from those springs.
Right.
You know, across the sidewalk and across the pavement as well. So.
I think they only use it for the water heater, so
Yeah.
at least they got heat.
Cass, so the water will have to be piped down to the street guttering, or where are we gonna go with that? Because there's a lot of water running there.
There really is. There is a storm sewer system that goes under Route 100 there. And I guess back when you did the 2008 fix, there was some collection piping, more of a French line on the backside of that sidewalk. So using some of that piping and how it connected and went under Route 100 would be my.
Is this on city property or on private property?
We've got kind of a mix. The city has Clinton Street up at the very top. Wrights, or the Wright heirs, have a portion of the property. Groves has a portion, and so does Green.
So we'll be working with those other people then as we decide what we're gonna do.
I would think so, yes.
Is the city responsible for all the costs?
Well, that would maybe be more of a legal question. I would think that, but certainly there would be some costs that would be the city's responsibility.
Mrs. Grove, I'm sorry, you raised your
No,
hand.
forget it. I'll wait. I'll take care of it.
Do you have an estimate, Cass, when, an example is the Grove residence, when I know weather determines everything. You get back here and there, and get some of that slide out from behind the house, or is that a long-term issue?
In my discussion with Ms. Groves, I think I indicated about 2 months. That's just my best guess. I think it's probably gonna be
Just please let me know, because moving it's gonna be, because there's a crack in the drywall already, you know.
Yeah, there's a lot of material against the side.
So you'll communicate with them, and thank you, Cass.
Sure.
Report regarding stormwater drainage into the marina.
Once again, I have a hand up for you. Once again, there's an exhibit with that. Well, what we tried to show there is the area that does drain down into that storm sewer system that crosses under State Route 100 again and discharges to the piping system that's in the marina. And that area is roughly 47 acres. Up at the top, near the high end of Ross development, there is a detention pond that has been built up there with an overflow pipe. So it acts as somewhat of a sedimentation basin, detention basin. And then all the flow is carried in a pipe down the hill through a number of different inlets off to the left of the Ross development driveway as you're heading north. And then goes into a 4-foot by 3-foot stone box culvert under Route 100. In the public parking lot, there's a small stone junction box there that the piping transitions into a 24-inch corrugated metal pipe, and then continues to a 30-inch corrugated metal pipe discharge in the marina basin. The storm sewer system in the parking lot is problematic in that it cannot handle the amount of stormwater generated from the 47 acres of hilly terrain. The marina plans prepared by Russell Engineering for Desherlia called for an extension of a 30-inch pipe to discharge into the marina basin. The current stone junction box at the public parking lot frequently overflows, and I'm sure all of you have seen that, because the 24-inch pipe is too small. Just on a basic drainage principle, the equivalent to that 4-foot by 3-foot box would be a culvert somewhere between 48 and 60 inches, depending on the slope, and there's only 24 inches carrying it away from that. Also, a pipe at least 54-inch diameter is needed to drain a 47-acre area. So you might say, all things lead to that pipe just being too small through there. It's our intent to meet with Juneau in the near future, because we understand that they had some plans or perhaps some conceptual ideas of a storm sewer system that could be located in that area down in the parking lot.
They've done engineering on it, yes.
So if we can perhaps benefit from the work that they have done, that would be, in my mind, the next step to taking a look at that system.
The problem we have down there is it's 2nd Street. You get a heavy rain, you want to get into those parking lots, you have a problem. Because there could be 6 inches, a foot of water. I mean, it's just, and then when it does start to dry out, it's a lot of mud on your car just trying to get through there. And that's, even if we don't have a flood, there's a problem when we get heavy rains. That 2nd Street floods and prohibits some people from using that parking area down there. but that's all in Charlie's reporting.
I would encourage you to work on this as soon as possible, because it is a major problem. And work with the marina in regard to, whatever it is that they have, and work with them in regard to that.
Sure.
Under Route 100, is the culvert under Route 100 sufficient to handle that?
Yeah, it appears that that size is large enough. In other words, it equates to something between a 48 and 60 inch pipe, a 4 foot by 3 foot, about 12 square feet. So, yeah, we don't see a problem in restriction in that.
It's just from the south side of the road further into the river.
Correct. One of the things that I wanted to add, in the correspondence that took place between Juneau and the city, there's a request for a letter to come from you folks to them. I just wondered, had that been?
I prepared a motion to follow up to our conversation. Probably be presented at the conclusion of your remarks.
Do I have a motion to approve? Make a motion to suspend the rules to address this situation. I got to go.
Sorry, just a minute. So the motion to suspend the rules is Alderman Crum, second by Alderman Marsex.
Yes.
Alderman Crum.
Yes.
Alderman Amber. Yes. Alderman Round. Yes. Alderman Davis.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Yeah, I make a motion in light of the report from Mr. Shepherd. I move that our city attorney notify Charlie Juneau, a foreign city attorney, to request Mr. Juneau to cooperate and meet with Shepherd Morgan Schwab Incorporated to advise them a matter for which Mr. Juneau has worked on for the city of Grafton, as well as transfer all any records requested by representatives by SMS Incorporated with the city of Grafton, paying Charlie Juneau for his time and expense related therein.
I think you said city attorney, but it should say city engineer. I know.
I think it is appropriate. I'll send a letter directing that he is to cooperate with Shepherd.
A second.
Alderman Marsex.
Yes.
Alderman Crum.
Yes.
Alderman Amber. Yes. Alderman Round. Yes. Alderman Davis.
Yes.
Passes.
Okay, my report is going to be very brief. We still have a lot to do in terms of flood cleanup, but I can assure you we're looking for better days. I was pleasantly surprised to hear that the ice rink had already opened. I got a call from a 4-year-old great-granddaughter who wanted to know if Grandpa would take her, I don't know the day, but it was like about 10 below it seemed. And ice skating, I said, well honey, I'll be glad to, but don't you think it's a little cold? She insisted on going. She finally didn't show up, and I went, so glad I got out of that until it warmed up. She'll be up this weekend, I'm sure. But better days are ahead. I would also like to thank our maintenance department for the great work they've done during this time of flooding and cleanup. They're doing an outstanding job. And also thank the police department and all the first responders for all their endeavors in the search for Heather Bardsley. I get calls on this, sometimes it's the news media. I can only say the one simple answer is that this is classified at this time in our lives as a missing person. And that is it. But our hearts and our prayers certainly go out to Heather's friends and family. We're deeply concerned. A lovely young lady, worked at Amoco. Many of us, you knew her. And this is a very troubling time for our city. But I do want to thank those that are making every attempt to come to a solution with this issue. So thank you. That's all I'm gonna say. Development and comprehensive plan, Jerry Barsack and Roger Crone.
Well, the only comment I have to make are 50/50 grant applications are available in City Hall. They will be accepted through the end of February, and hopefully the beginning of March we'll award those grants.
Parks development.
Yeah, I just want to give you a draft, go ahead and take one past one, a draft of the meeting that we had. We had a Parks Committee meeting on January the 7th. Most of it's pretty repetitious. There were a couple of comments that we had. Number one of the problems we have down at Tug Grove Memorial Park, for any of you people that use that park, you realize that the gravel that's located next to the park, when it floods, that turns pretty much muddy. And frequently when we get a heavy rain and you drive on it, there's a lot of mud that comes through that. We're going to check with Paul Osmond to see if there's a possibility that we can blacktop or concrete that. I don't know if that's possible. The old timers in town have been telling me that we cannot pour any concrete anywhere in the floodplain, but I think that we may be able to find a variance or an exception to that. The second change that we had, I reported at the last regular council meeting that the park committee was not in favor of rezoning around the park to commercial area. The park committee now feels that it would be fine to rezone around the park to a commercial zoning, which is what the zoning board of appeals is looking at, or zoning plan commission, I guess, is actually looking at. So those are two significant things. The third thing that I do want to mention is that there was a call placed to City Hall that someone wanted to have a wedding this summer at Grove Memorial Park. And as the committee, we decided I'm going to ask the mayor to develop a policy regarding the use of the park, what procedures we follow if someone wants to reserve that. So we need an administrative policy for that. So Mayor, I'm asking you to write up a policy and present that to us.
You could bring that up to your committee too. In the past, what we've done is not refused anyone, made them put a $25, I think it was, deposit down in case they didn't clean up the park after they used it. But I certainly will. We need to develop something that's in writing and that's consistent, and I'll get that, work on that and ask for the park committee's assistance with that, what suggestions they have. So thank you. Okay, tourism, Bobby Amber and Flo Rollins.
I'm going to let Flo talk about the Eagles, but I do have something I want to talk about. I went to a meeting this past Saturday about the Port District. I think it's very important that we stay in the Port District, and I would like to ask the council not to put that on a referendum. Leave it as it is, let us stay in the Port District. If it takes making a motion, I'll ask to suspend the rules now.
That's your motion?
Yes.
I don't know that we can do a motion because I think there's something on the ballot already, isn't there? Yes.
I called the county clerk today, it's already on the ballot.
Yeah. And my feeling about it, Bobby, is I'm just as in favor of the Port District as I was when I first voted. But I think that this is a portion of the people who live in Grafton. And I think all the people should have a right to just simply say, do you want another layer of restrictions on what goes on?
Well, then I would say to you, why wasn't everybody talked to about the enterprise zone coming out of Jerseyville?
Who's everybody?
Anybody and everybody in this town. Because you're saying we have just a select few that are in favor of the Port District. Maybe they know more than we do about it.
Maybe they do.
So how can you sort out, this group here wants the enterprise zone, this group wants the Port District?
Well, we're supposed to,
I saying we didn't have a referendum to decide
No.
if we're gonna be in the enterprise zone, but we had to put this.
I think it's all about because of all this information going around.
Oh, there is
And
a lot of
that-
that, yes.
May I respond to this?
Please do.
When I ran as alderman, one of the things I ran on, I was against the Port District. The voters need a choice. If they vote for it, I will back it 100%. But the voters need to decide. That's where it's on the
Why didn't you get the vote on that?
Mr. Crone, why are you opposed to it?
I was just opposed to it because if you read the law, what it says, it's basically, the Port District per se is industrial, what have you. There was nothing about.
No, you should have been.
Read the law.
Okay, well, we've already clarified, no, we could get into a lengthy discussion. I think that was clarified. Let's see, somebody wrote an article clarifying that, yeah. And I think, it's not that I'm trying to stifle discussion, but this could be another council meeting of debate. So I think that we've expressed our opinion. I certainly have expressed mine, that I see no negatives whatsoever. And all I can see and have heard at this point is there are a lot of positives in what they can do for the city of Grafton in terms of tourism, business, and even housing. But we'll continue to let the Grafton First Committee send out information on that.
There's a motion to suspend the rules.
Okay,
There's
sorry.
no second.
Motion dies.
Yeah.
I just wanted to clarify that, thank you.
Okay, Flo, we're gonna let you talk about Fish and Eagle, January 23rd.
Yeah, I tried to get some of these around to some of the businesses, the flyers for Fish and Eagles. Scott Isringhausen is doing the program, and we're very fortunate to have him come to the city hall and do the program. If anyone has little children, he is so good. He can even bark like a squirrel. He is just super. And he actually has a replica of a eagle's nest that he's gonna bring in this time. And the kids love it. You know, we think it's funny, but the kids really do love it. And there's a program at 11 o'clock in the morning on Saturday that Scott will be doing. We'll have a live eagle here, and there's a program again at 1 o'clock that Scott will be doing. And the live eagle will be here. I can't get a photographer, but I will be there to take pictures if anybody needs a picture, or people can take their own pictures. It's well worth your time if you have kids or grandkids, and you'll enjoy it yourself.
The last time we did this, I'm just clarifying, we had the Eagle at the visitor center, so there is a slight change. This time, all of the activities will be at City Hall. I know that I have to be interviewed by some radio stations in Springfield, I guess it's for advertising, at 7 o'clock in the morning on Thursday and 7 on Friday. And I believe we did have some people from that area come down.
We have some scheduled to come down. They've already booked rooms.
The last time we did this, so it's good that we're publicizing this. And hopefully we had a good crowd the last time.
I might mention too that all the people that are here tonight, I don't think I saw any of you at the event we had the last time, so maybe you'll be able to come this time. Bring your grandkids or your kids. And I also wanted to let you know that over the year, we had 12,526 people at the Visitor Center. They pass out a lot of information, and they mail out a lot of information for the businesses and guest houses for everyone. And there was one week in October, which is our biggest month for tourism. There was 1 week, we had 707 people in the visitor center. That's a lot of people. So they work hard down there, and they're trying to help you out in every way they can.
So that's our next big event in Grafton. And that's
It's right here at City Hall,
Yeah.
this weekend.
right? Coming up quick. Okay, adopt a lot flow.
You know, I didn't prepare anything for Adopt a Lot, but I really don't have anything on Adopt a Lot at this time.
Police report.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, City Board, the audience. I'll try to make this quick. The alderman and the mayor have the written police report as submitted, so if you have any specific questions, they may be able to answer for you. I'll try to keep things germane to the public here. Flood cleanup. We have, and I know zoning's probably got a little piece of this as well in other parts of the city, but we received over 100 cleanup kits from the American Red Cross. We have those currently in the garage where we park our police vehicles. So pass this word to anybody. We have flood cleanup kits. The kit basically consists of mop, squeegee, broom, the handles to it, a bucket, and some cleaning supplies. So they're free. If you need several for a business, perhaps, feel free to take several. We've got about 100 of them sitting in the garage. I've had some calls, and I'll apologize also if I haven't returned your call. If you could imagine what we've had happen here in Grafton over the past few weeks, I've had a lot of phone calls. So if I didn't reply, my apologies. But to the phone calls requesting information about burning the flood debris, I've got some information set out here on the tables. I only made 10 copies, not to waste copies. If you need more, we can utilize the city's copier to make more. But basically, EMA, which is the Illinois Emergency Management Agency, they have guidelines, and Illinois' version of the EPA. They have all kinds of guidelines when you burn things. Disasters, which is a declared disaster by the governor, allows you to circumvent some of the strict rules that are in place, and it's all outlined in that handout. Okay, so if you've got any questions about burning the refuse or the wood from the flood waters, just take a look at that and make sure you stay in those guidelines. The obviouses are the obviouses. You can't burn shingles and chemicals and stuff like that. It's mainly referring to all the driftwood and the flood that come from the flood. I also had to put together, after a flood like that, you have to submit to IEMA, which is Illinois' version of FEMA. You have to submit paperwork, cost estimates, cost forecasts. It costs the city a lot of money, of course. But not only does it cost monetarily, but there's a social impact to all this. So they also try to get a point paper put together per their version. Chris Sullivan, the prior chief, had done one for the last summer's flood that we had, which was the 5th worst recorded in Grafton. This one surpassed it. It becomes the 4th worst flood, and recorded anyways, for Grafton. So I did an additional point paper, basically outlining not only the monetary impact, but the social impact to a community like this. It's all my words. I did it in a vacuum. I kind of used some of Chris Sullivan's. I just added his as an example. They've got it already, but I just added it as an enclosure. So they could glean off the words of him, but then I tried to also put a twist on the impact it's got for a second flood within 6 months. Not only a second flood within 6 months, but a flood during the cold weather in the wintertime. I bring that up because, as I mentioned, I created that point paper. That's just off the top of my head, some of the impacts that it probably has socially for a community. If you have anything or you would like to put together your own point paper, how it affects you personally as a resident, or how it affects you as a business owner socially. Example, a second flood like this within 6 months may be the decision for a business owner to just pack up shop and not reopen this spring. If thoughts are like that out there, I urge you to put a paper together, get it to me, and I'll make sure I get it to the appropriate people. That's all I got. Any questions?
Now we'll move on to old business. Council approval of ordinance number 652, City Liquor Code, Chapter 21, Paragraph 21-2-6B, to change the number of Class A liquor licenses from 10 to 11. Bob, the press needs a copy of something that came out of our file showing the Class A licenses. This was 2008 and 2009. It shows here there were 12, and then at some point, there's a classification, they had 13. We're trying to find the ordinance on that. Sandy Rawling, who was the secretary at that time, insists that there were 13, but we can't find any documentation. But back in 208, as you can see, 209, we had 12 Class A licenses out. Right now, we have 11 Class A licenses that are out. So during my administration, in spite of any rumors you hear, I have not added any Class A liquor licenses to that number. It's all here. I've made several copies if anyone would like to take a look at it. The only thing that's happened during my time is when the Wild Goose Saloon closed, they had a Class A license. It was passed on to the third chute, and etc. When the Big Kahuna closed, they had a Class A license that was passed on to the Grafton Oyster Bar. It wasn't creating an additional license. It was simply passing on one that was already in existence. So
I make a motion to place on file ordinance 652.
yeah, you interrupt, Jerry, you know, when I'm
Well, I'm
talking.
sorry, I thought you were
No,
getting
I
my
wasn't,
point.
I was trying to, well, because you along with others have, I keep getting this
I
feedback.
apologize, Mayor. I thought you were
That
getting.
I increased the number of liquor licenses, and they're at 11 because it's the mayor's fault. No, there were 12 according to this document in 2008 and 9, and now we only have 11. So, if anything, the number's been diminished, not added to. So you're wanting to take this and do what with it, Jerry?
Place it on file. If you can find an ordinance that has more than 10 liquor licenses, then we will consider that. But as of right now, the only ordinance that we have on file is 10 liquor licenses. We're not going to increase the number from 10 to 11 until you have an opportunity to provide us with another ordinance that says there's more, and if there's more, there's no need in us adopting this one.
Absolutely. I've talked to Sandy Rawling, and she is dealing with a family member who's also her brother. She said she would come down and go through all of those records that are back in off of the food pantry. There's a room back there where we keep our records that we must have, by the way, the storage area. So she is going to come down and go through some of those boxes to see. We've tried to find the ordinance. My staff, we haven't been able to find it, but obviously she insists somebody had to, in order to get it up to 13, somebody somewhere. And Steve, you were on the board, and you were on the board, Bobby, and so were you on the board, Flo, when some of these numbers were 12 and 13. Any of you remember? Well, liquor licenses. I can't. Yeah, I would just like to know if any of you can recollect your thoughts that, yeah, we passed that. It would be helpful if we had a date. But we'll work on that. That's fine. Okay, so.
Do you have a second?
Do you have a second?
I call the question.
Hurry, I can't. I've got to get through this now.
Alderman Morrison?
Yes.
Alderman Crum?
Yes.
Alderman Amber?
Yes.
Alderman Raleigh?
Yes.
Alderman Hayes?
Yes.
Doesn't mean that they're going to just turn around and say, okay, we're gonna close the Fin Inn or Singer's Tavern or the Hog Pit. When a business closes, I assume, that has a Class A, or if a Class A is turned in, then we'll be back to the 10. If this council intends on looking down the list and picking what business you're gonna close, then I'm sure you'll share that publicly, with,
Mayor, if we have another ordinance that says we allow more than 10, let's just go with that ordinance.
and that will take us some time maybe, Jerry, to find it out.
I'm in no hurry.
But someone was, yes, sir.
The ordinance that you had before you tonight actually does say you are increasing to 11 because there are 11 issued, but that by attrition, when one license is either revoked or goes out of business permanently, it would go down to the 10. So you do have a problem of you have, as best I can tell, the ordinances, the city code provides that there should be a maximum of 10, and there happen to be 11 issued. So the ordinance that was drafted was to try to solve that problem by saying, okay, the 11 are there, we recognize it, but when one is surrendered, we'll go to 10. By not passing that ordinance, you are just in the midst of a problem that you have one license more than what is on your books as authorized. What's the answer to that? I do not know.
Well, we'll let somebody on the board figure it out. We'll just move on. I'm just telling you that I got tired
No.
of being accused of adding licenses, and I have the evidence in front of me. We had 13 licenses at one time, not too long ago. We certainly had 12 in 208, 209. Some people sitting up here were on the board. I don't know why action, whether we want to raise the alarm, we can't do it, no. And now, we have 11 licenses. So we will, and I agree with Jerry on this point, we will earnestly look for documentation. It could take some time for Sandy to go through the boxes. She feels or insists that something was done so that we could have this number, but we can't find it, and until she is able to come down and assist Emily to look, we'll just leave it like that. Okay, I'd like to move on.
I'd like to make a motion for the council to approve the ordinance 653 to increase it from 10 to 11.
Do we have to withdraw that ordinance? We have a motion and a second on the floor. Have we voted on it?
Vote on that.
Did we vote on the place it on file?
Roll call.
Wait a minute, Jerry made the motion, Bobby made the second.
Yes.
Does either of them want to withdraw the second or the motion? Oh, Bobby said they did vote on it. Later, okay. So Roger, to get that back on the floor, you would need first a motion to suspend the rules.
I want a motion to suspend the rules.
Second.
I'll make a motion for the council to approve the ordinance.
We have to vote on this.
Okay, never mind. You second, Steve.
Alderman Bartlett.
Yes.
Alderman Crum.
Yes.
Alderman Lambert. Yes. Alderman Rollins.
Yes.
Alderman Hayes.
Yes.
Rules are suspended.
Okay, I make a motion for the council to approve ordinance of number 652 to increase the Class A liquor license from 10 to 11.
Second.
I have a problem with that.
Just a minute. And a second by Hayes. Thank you.
653 is on the Portland Road, right?
He meant 652.
652. Okay.
Yeah, that's
Sorry.
what we have.
I was looking at the other one.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second.
Yes.
Alderman Marson.
No.
Alderman Crum.
Yes.
Alderman Lambert.
No.
Alderman Rollins.
Yes.
Alderman Hayes.
Yes.
3 to 2.
Mayor,
Mayor need to vote.
Well, he should have voted on the rule suspension motion. He did not vote on this. If you wish to have your name called, Mayor, you could.
Call my name for the excitement. Yes, I voted yes. So I thank you. This is just, and what the council has done is, in my opinion, the right thing, because it creates this fear of who's going to have to give up their license, their business, and this gets it off of our agenda. Thank you for voting for that.
It is my understanding, though, if any business is not open again, that the new business coming in will not get a business license. Liquor license. Right now, we have a great, or pizza place, and we have the hog pit, both are closed. If they decide they're both going to remain closed, then at the beginning of the next fiscal year, only one of those two is going to get a liquor license.
What if they sell it? Does it go to the next owner?
No, it doesn't count. You cannot transfer.
Do we have 11?
Not now.
Yes, we have
But
11.
if we go back to 10, then it stays at 10.
The ordinance.
No, we just passed it. Just passed the
Increase it to 11. If we go back to 10, it stays at 10. That's what the ordinance
Explain it,
says.
Jim.
The ordinance as presented. The best way to explain an ordinance is to read it.
What we've been handed under item A was changing 10 to 11.
Correct, and that is what has happened. And it goes on to say, be it further ordained that the city code of the city of Grafton shall be amended by providing that the number of Class A liquor license authorized in the city of Grafton shall be reduced by 1 from 11 to 10 as a liquor license becomes available either by revocation or surrender of the license. Revocation is easy, surrender is a little more complicated. This section shall not prevent the ability of a licensee to sell its business and to request a transfer of the license to a new qualified owner at the same location. The intent that I drafted is that if the guy at the third chute wants to sell to somebody else who calls it the fourth chute, that would be permitted. However, if someone has a license revoked because they violated the ordinances, or they didn't pay the fees, or for whatever reason sold to underage drinkers, that license would be gone, and no one else would be able to acquire it. Likewise, if a place just goes out of business, does not renew their license, that license would be gone.
And we're back to 10.
We would be back to 10. So it's a natural attrition to get us back to 10.
So Mayor, I encourage you to continue to look for the other ordinance that says
Trust
you
me,
can
we are.
have 12 or 13.
We are.
Well, even if we do, we're not
Changed in anyway, but
What you're gonna do is just increase it to 11, then you can only have 10.
no, you can have 11 as long as those 11 that are currently issued remain in compliance with the ordinances and in business. Now, like in the case of the Mississippi Half-Step, they keep a license. They still are a licensed entity, even though they're not doing business. If they show up and pay for their license again, I think they get their license. But if they give up and don't renew their license for some period of time, that license is gone.
they have a Class C.
Oh, okay.
I have a question. If you don't renew your business license, can you renew your liquor license?
I don't believe you're supposed to have a liquor license without a business license.
Okay.
Can you put that in writing?
I think it's in the code.
Because I don't believe they got a business license, but they kept their liquor license. So that's something you probably need to look into. It's only $10, they ought to just go ahead and get a business license.
I'm sure that was an oversight, no contact. Okay, where are we now? Number B, council approval of ordinance 653, an ordinance amending the city code of Grafton, Illinois by amending the parking ordinance.
Mayor, can I ask a question? I didn't see this, or I'd have put on the agenda, on the part where they're gonna not let people for overnights, keep their car overnight, is that a problem? Is that why we're doing it? Or are we doing it because we got an agenda to try to stop something? I mean, I don't know, I'm just asking the question.
I'm gonna let the council answer that.
Chris Sullivan and I, about a year ago, started working on the ADA parking. And at the same time, you said.
I don't mean the ADA.
Well, at the same time we were working on ADA parking, he wanted us to make more parking in town, no overnight parking, because it's easier for the police officers to enforce who parks there and what's parked there. Now, I don't know if Marshall agrees with all of that, but this was simply a follow-through of what we had been working on before. We actually did the ADA, then we went to the no parking, then we went to the limited parking, and I have worked most of this out with Chris Sullivan. If you want me to sit down and work with Marshall and find out if he wants to continue to do that, I'll be glad to table this until a further date.
I think it ought to be tabled, because I think some business people that are in those areas need to sit down and talk about it.
I give one example, because it's been in Tree Allen on that, what was formerly the wood shop, and they have an apartment in there. And there are people that park because they sleep there, it's illegal apartments,
Yeah.
So now they're being told, no, you can't park there, there's no parking. I don't know where you
And
expect.
don't get me wrong, I'm not saying this because I need it, I'm saying it because I think there's some business people don't realize what's going on here, and they need to look at it, because I've got enough of my own parking.
I'll make a motion to table it, we'll table it until, Marshall, when you and I have a chance to sit down and talk about all this.
Yeah, how about some business committees so that we can talk about it?
I submitted that report with the recommendations. I just concurred with, and I do concur with what Chief Sullivan had already written up and planned. So I think the bigger issue is that's being risen right now is with the business side.
Would businesses want overnight parking?
Yeah. They might.
Voters. Well, I make a motion to table it till Marshall and I have a chance to spend a little bit more time on
Yeah,
this.
the issue arises is the business may want the overnight parking, but overnight parking for 3, 4, 5 days and a car sitting there. And then we as a department can't enforce any sort of overnight, hey, you gotta move that car, because, and we're talking city parking lots,
I
not
understand.
private business parking lots. That's private property, you can stay on your lot as long as
You
you
can
want.
say 48 hours or something, but there could be a reason why somebody.
And I question the definition of overnight parking, and if I'm not mistaken, it's simply over 24 hours.
Yes, it is.
So we can monitor, as a department, if we see a car, small enough town, if a car's been sitting in a city parking lot for over 24 hours.
I would, as a business guy, I'd go along with that, but somebody coming in at 9 o'clock, he parks there, and I'll give you for instance. He decides that he doesn't want to drive and he walks to the overnight stay. He parks his car someplace, and for safety reason, he drives, his car's there, and boom, then he's in trouble.
Well, what was inadvertently left out of this is part 2 of Schedule C, limited parking. It should read, when overnight parking has been prohibited, no motor vehicle or trailer can be parked at any time in excess of 24 consecutive hours.
It doesn't say that, though.
Well,
It doesn't say this.
It's in the, no, it doesn't say it in this.
So
but
then
it's
we
in
didn't
the-
know.
And I was going to amend this to have that included. But if you want us to table it, we have a motion in a second. We have a motion. I was also going to remove the boat ramp parking. I was also going to amend this to remove everything that's in the parentheses. Because we don't need to say the parking lot next to the hog pit, because that may not be the hog pit 2 years from now, so it's not going to mean anything to anybody. But I wanted to remove the boat ramp parking. I also wanted to,
Let's just redo this.
why don't you let us just redo this? And we're going to have to work with you. But we already have a motion and a second to table it, and I call the question.
Alderman Morrison.
Yes.
Alderman Crone.
Yes.
Alderman Emmer. Alderman Rowland.
Yes.
Alderman Hayes.
Yes.
This, motion is tabled until March, is that?
That's forever.
How about until requested by Alderman Bowers?
That'll give Marshall and I a chance, and we can talk to the businesses.
Back on the agenda when you're ready. And I'll put it on the
Council approval of a proposal for the City Hall sound system. Approved from Edwardsville at the price of $9,122.
I'll make a motion for the council to approve for the City Hall a sound system by Terry McKnight Alloy Services Incorporated, 411 Canton Street, Evansville, Illinois, in the amount of $9,122. I went out to 10 people. This was the only guy that came and looked at it. Most of them, they talked and then they wouldn't even show up. Went to St. Louis.
What? Speak up.
I said I went to about 10 or 11 people. Okay, I contacted them. They wouldn't show up. This was the only guy that showed up. The other ones, they said, well, they'll be there, and they never showed up. The other ones, they wasn't interested.
I can get a local guy there tomorrow.
Well, let's move on now, and I don't know this person, Mr. Crone, but I assume we did check to see.
I also,
Excuse me, no, I don't need comments right now.
I did, the proposal did talk with a couple people that are knowledgeable on systems. They looked it over and on an informal basis said that it looked like it would meet our needs and that the price was, equitable.
Okay, then we ought to just move on.
There's not a second.
Need a second.
Alderman Bauer seconds.
Yes.
Alderman Crowe.
Yes.
Yes. Yes. Alderman Hayes.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Council approval of a proposal by RMC Construction to supply labor and materials to remove existing fluorescent lights in City Hall Council Chamber and install new fluorescent lights in the amount of $7,660.
I was telling the mayor and Roger that, the Masonic Hall had a problem with their ceiling lights. They contacted Ameren, and Ameren came in and put new lights in it through a grant that didn't cost the Masonic Lodge any money. I think we need to look into that.
Yeah.
These people who spend money for the lights.
Dan Usuria said you have to belong to it, you get a tremendous discount.
Talking to the mic, please.
I talked to Carmen and she registered the city of Grafton to get the reduction in the lights so the cost is not that much. That's what it is, you pay for the lights and then they reimburse you. I would suggest that the council for RMC Construction to supply the labor and material to remove existing fluorescent lights in the City Hall Council Chamber, install new fluorescent lights in the amount of $7,660. But it's also the 2x2, and they're going to lower the ceiling 6 inches.
Is that just in this room back here?
No, just
This here.
Roger, who's going to do the follow-up on the grant application?
I can try to follow up and see if Carmen got it done, because Steve passed and said what you have to do, and then I was talking to Dan and Shirley, I'll check with him again. You have to register. We had it, it's been, 3 weeks ago that she was registering, doing that online. Whether she got that,
Who's that,
Carmen.
We'll check it out. Supposedly, I got an email at about 4:45. Haven't gone back to get it out of Emily's computer, but I'll get it, Roger. She'll call you and give it to you, because it deals with Ameren.
Yes, well, that's probably what it is.
Okay, so I'll have, you could stop by and ask Emily to do that.
Just a minute. Bobby, did you second this one? Alderman Boris?
Yes.
Alderman Cone?
Yes.
Alderman Edwards?
Yes.
Alderman Raleigh?
Yes.
Alderman Hayes?
Yes.
Okay, number E, council approval of resolution 2016-01, deputy clerk authorizing the city clerk to appoint a deputy city clerk in accordance with the city code of the city of Grafton 1-2-7.
Mary, do you need this person for 20 hours a week?
Up to, I think we put in there up to 20 hours per week.
No, well, it says right here, hours, 20 hours per week, not up to, on the job description.
Intention,
On the job
on the
description,
job description it does, like,
it
in
says
the,
20 hours
the
per
order,
week.
in the resolution, it says, I think it says up to.
Oh,
I believe I put that in.
okay, well, it's not on the job description, so.
I can change the job description
Uh,
to,
Second thing, can this person do no other work in the office?
this,
They would do whatever work Mary assigned.
Okay, so they could answer the phone, they could do whatever they
Sweep
want.
the floor.
Would
I
it
have a
make
problem
sense for
marrying
someone
somebody-
that already works here to just get more hours?
Mary, I have a problem with it because our city code, as Jim's pointed out, this is an appointed position. I have a problem with appointed positions. I actually think it would be better if this position were posted. We got as many applications as we could possibly get. We interviewed as many candidates as we could, and we selected from that pool rather than an appointment. I found from my experience working with personnel that appointments usually wind up being a friend or an associate or somebody that you're friends with. So I make a motion to place this resolution 2016-01 on file, keeping in mind that if we need someone in the office, let's just go ahead and hire somebody to help out in the office, and they can help you do whatever you need to do.
the reason I did put it this way is most certainly I did not intend to go out and find somebody I liked on the street and appoint to this position. I most certainly would advertise it and make that appointment that way. I think we made a request to have assistance, administrative assistance, last spring. That resolution was not adopted.
Because we did not post the position.
This, looking at the work that really needs to be done in order to be in compliance with what an office of the city clerk does. I think the example of bringing in Sandy Rowling to go through the boxes tells you what shape the boxes are in. The fact that our city code books need updating, that there is a.
I do not deny
there-
the fact that we need extra.
There
help.
is that what I was doing is following what was in Grafton City Code and how a deputy clerk. And I think that part of that is the deputy clerk is a position that then would be sworn in and have those,
I understand, but they also don't have to live in the city, and they have the authority to issue business license, and I just, that's an issue for me. I would rather post it, have someone help you do the job, and you would be the only one that would be ultimately responsible for that. And I know your job is much more complicated now than it was a few years ago, but I have a motion on the floor, it can die for lack of a second.
I'll also, if I may, Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
I'll also point out that I drafted that resolution such that the council would only be authorizing a deputy clerk for the remainder of Mary's term, so that it's not a permanent authorization, only while Mary Willoughby is serving in this term.
Isn't there some legal issue here in terms of swearing somebody in as a assistant city clerk when they're handling city records, or is that not?
There would be no deputy clerk unless Mary Willoughby is given authority to appoint a deputy clerk.
Right.
There could be another worker in City Hall, but the responsibilities of the deputy clerk's office rest with the deputy, I'm sorry, the responsibilities with the city clerk rest only with the city clerk.
Call the question.
Alderman Bostock.
Yes.
Alderman Crum,
Yes.
Alderman Amber, Alderman Rowland,
Yes.
Alderman Hayes,
No. Mary, I do encourage you to, let's get together, get a job description, get it posted, get applicants in, so the personnel committee can start reviewing them, but not as a deputy city clerk.
But that takes it out of the hand of the only thing that bothers me, the city clerk. And the statement was made at the last meeting, well, we don't want you appointing a city clerk, because we want the council to be in control. I don't have a problem with council being in control, but now we can't allow the city clerk to legally, do what our ordinance says, and assume Illinois Municipal League says, that she has the right to appoint deputy clerk. But we don't want to do that in Grafton for a host of reasons that I'm not sure I understand. I think she's very astute enough, professional enough to appoint a deputy city clerk with necessary. We'll post it, and then who's gonna make the decision? 6 council members, they're the personnel.
5.
That's fine.
5.
Or 5.
Well,
we'll do 6. Okay, I had my say, let's just move on. We voted on that. Now where are we? Okay, new business. Board approval of the extension of the special use permit for 1 year Palisades sales subdivision home display office. This is something we approve every year, so we'll do this again. That's it. Just don't know it's a little office up there as you drive in on your right.
Motion to approve special use permit.
so second. Alderman Barset?
Yes.
Alderman Crum?
Yes.
Alderman Amber?
Yes.
Alderman Rowland?
Yes.
Alderman Hayes?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Council approval of the city shed, new break room and bathroom. Because that's for our maintenance people up there. $18,760. So they're gonna build a new building, Roger?
No, they're gonna go inside the building where it's open because they haven't got any bathroom or anything else. And that's $18,760 to close that and make the bathroom in there with the equipment they've already got in there.
I thought they were using, maybe I'm wrong, some of that building for storage.
Yeah, we do use it for
So
storage.
they're still-
When you go up there and look, okay,
Right.
where the piping was done, there's some lower places where they can put the plumbing, they've got some desks and file cabinets in there, and the stool is not there, and, you know, we're gonna use the existing equipment we got to go ahead and sub that in, it'll still have storage above it.
Okay, I was just hoping we'd still have lots of room.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, that's all,
For
that's
storage
the only
what we
question I
got,
had.
that's the problem.
Is one of the subcontractors a local contractor?
So was there a motion for that?
I make a motion to approve the city shed new brick room and bathroom to 235 at the maintenance shed over there for RMC Construction, amount of $18,700. And we're all also add the 3 windows, $50 plus.
Is any of that covered by TIF?
Should be covered by TIF. It's all covered by TIF. And the local contractor that goes with RMC is Danny Bishurley. Right?
Second.
That's Ross McIntyre.
Ross McIntyre,
Yeah.
Alderman Barset?
Yes.
Alderman Crum?
Yes.
Alderman Amber?
No.
Alderman Rowland?
No.
Alderman Hayes?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Council approval directing the city engineer, Cash Shepherd Gordon Swab, to solicit price quotes for the construction of a 36 by 65 maintenance building to 35 Grafton Hills Drive.
I'll make a motion for the council to approve directing the city engineer, Cash Shepherd, SMS, to solicit price quotes for the construction of the 35 maintenance building located at South River Plant for 35.
Second. Now, let me explain, this is just a solicit price quotes, this doesn't mean we're gonna do it. We need to find out what the price quotes are going to be, but our problem is, since we're selling the sewer plant, we're losing a lot of storage in the building which is next to the sewer plant. We have the public building, which is on the right-hand side as you face it, but we have no place to put our equipment. So this would be the place where we would store our equipment.
The problem is the equipment's been sitting outside, okay? We've got snow coming, okay? The snow plow, the big one, the red one, it would not work because it blows up because it's sitting outside with the ambient temperature. The backhoe wouldn't start, so Tom has to go up, he finally got one running, the front end loader, took the heater down and put it on for an hour so he could heat it up, so he could get it started, so he could go down and dig for the lady that they're looking for. The other thing is the white truck won't start, so he had to drag it up there with the other one to try to get the building to warm it up to get it done. If you guys were out there with your vehicles and the ambient temperature the way it is, you would like to fight it, would you? Just be out there freezing and rumble. It's been going on this whole interior.
Well, I don't have a problem, we could just move on to having a building.
Call the question.
For these trucks and backhoes, yeah.
Alderman Robertson.
He made a motion.
He made a motion, I seconded it. Yes.
Yes.
Alderman
Yes.
Alderman Amber.
Yes.
Alderman Ron.
No.
Alderman Hayes.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Roger, I do have a question.
Yes.
You know, you're talking about rebuilding a restroom in the old water plant. You're doing this building, I mean, I had a building like that built, and I didn't have to have an engineer. But I know with the city you do.
But this, we do.
But you could get the information, at
Yes,
least.
that's what we're doing on the building.
Through, yeah.
Yes.
But why did you put the restroom in it?
It's not easy,
Instead
there's
of-
no water.
No electricity, no
That
water.
little room, you're not gonna have oh yeah, you'll end up with electricity in it.
That's all, oh, yeah, okay.
You will.
It's a pole building, we'll have
Yes,
electricity, but we
I
won't have
know.
water.
I have a pole building.
Certainly need electricity in case you need to put something on the battery.
The ambient temperature's not gonna change it, so it's not heated.
Right.
What's the water heaters on those?
That's right.
Well, okay, did we vote on this?
Yes, we do.
Yeah.
We're down to D.
Down to D. Council approved a resolution 2016-02, a resolution stating the city shall endorse the Alton Regional Convention and Visitors Bureau as the state certified bureau for the region of northern Madison County, Jersey County, and Calhoun County. That's the CVB.
I make a motion to approve resolution 2016-2, resolution stating the city shall endorse the Alton Regional Convention and Visitors Bureau as a state certified bureau for the region of northern Madison County, Jersey County, and Calhoun County.
Alderman Robertson.
Yes.
Alderman Rowe.
Yes.
Alderman Amber.
Yes.
Alderman Rollins.
Yes.
Alderman Hayes.
Yes.
Passes.
Last item, the council approval of resolution 2016-03, a resolution terminating the engineering agreement with June and Associates with regard to the Grafton Bike Trail project.
This is necessary because it's a separate contract than his engineering contract. In fact, Mr. Gino called me to point this out.
Yeah.
Second.
Alderman Robertson.
Yes.
Alderman Rowe.
Yes.
Alderman Amber.
Yes.
Alderman Rollins.
Yes.
Alderman Hayes.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Any items to be referred to the next meeting?
I don't, we just, the one is, yeah.
Cass, will you be ready at the next meeting to give us some plans on how to take care of the stormwater sewer problem at the marina? Or is that too soon? It'll be in 30 days.
Yeah, I would think that's plenty of time. All we gotta do is sit down, see what their plans were, and take it from there.
Are you also working on Route 3 drainage problem?
Not yet. That was one of the ones on his list of projects that he was gonna go over with us, so.
When you meet with him, will you have a priority of what you're doing?
As you direct me.
As the council directs.
So we clarify that.
Okay,
So I put under, refer to the stormwater issue at the marina.
Yes.
Thank you.
And could you also, at that time, give us an update on the bike trails? Hopefully you'll have all the things and give us an idea of whether you think it's where it needs to be. Because basically what's happening down, the area down between the marina and First Street, the green space is now going to be taken up by the bike trail. I'll make sure you agree with that. And then the bike trail is going to be located right along Water Street. And I want you to look and see if there's actually going to be enough room for that, and enough room for Water Street as well as parking at the marina. I know that's been a problem, so we want a second opinion in regard to that.
Sure.
Jerry, can the bicyclists actually be forced to use that instead of riding down the center?
I can't answer that.
I can, it has to be a home rule community. You cannot make bikers go down.
You can't even do that on Route 100 coming down.
I believe that Charlie has plans, I've seen them, I've met, in fact, I've attended several meetings, Cass, with IDOT, where their engineers said you have to do this way and do this, so there should be some pretty detailed plans and plans that IDOT has approved. It's their money and they must approve this plan.
We're glad to take a look.
Okay, did we hold that now? Getting tired. No, just Cass Shepherd, that's the only one, okay.
I've got two things. Stormwater to marina and update on the bike trail.
We need a motion to adjourn to executive session, to discuss possible litigation, personnel, and review the executive session minutes.
I make a motion to go into closed session to discuss, can I change that word from possible to probable? Because you can't go into closed session for possible, it has to be probable litigation. Personnel, review of the closed session minutes, and legal issues.
Now, second.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. We anticipate some action, and that would include Jim, as a city attorney, and Bob Smith as a treasurer, plus the alderman.
Officially, this meeting is adjourned.